All right. Welcome to today's office hours. Once again, we're having the your questions answered day, just kind of going through and dealing with questions from users that we've accumulated, and also hopefully the questions that the participants are users that are attending with us to be able to ask questions and kind of go through each of those different answers and stuff. So for those that don't know me, my name is Mark Stepp. I am the Chief Innovation Officer here at Realvolve. Spend a lot of time helping people understand the why in technology, just helping you guys have a more sustainable and automated business. So Kendra, introduce yourself.
Yep. If we haven't already met, my name is Kendra Rouse. I'm in our premium services department. I really focused on knowing the ins and outs of Realvolve and specializing in helping you systematize and automate your business so that you work smarter and not harder.
Absolutely. So today we are going to go over the questions and answers and show you some stuff on additional help, some premium services things. We do have, and we've talked about this previously, and actually it's not on this list here. We need to change this slide. You can now go out to realvolve.com/office hours and be able to access our office hours from previous sessions and stuff. And we will be also going over next couple going over some more automation stuff, some holiday workflows, and because the holidays are coming up, so hope you guys will attend those. The first few questions that we're going to go through are some things that we've already been asked. We've been these come up at different times, and want to just make sure that everybody gets those main questions asked and answered first. And then we'll go on with the rest of the attendees and stuff. The first one is, how do I use the dialer? Now, the dialer is a built-in portion of Realvolve that utilizes the SMS feature, or at least the phone number within Realvolve. So what I want to do, and you should be able to see, you see my browser screen and also my phone screen over here on the right, correct? Make sure it can be seen. Okay, good. So whenever you are in Realvolve, the very first thing that most users should do is go into the settings area, and in settings, there is a section in here called SMS services. Now, SMS services has been quite the fiasco this last month because of the changeover to A2P 10 DLC, which is a nerd, tech nerd language for A2P is application to person. 10 DLC is 10-digit long code. What that comes down to is your SMS number and how it's utilized. So within Realvolve, you can select a phone number in your area code typically that represents the dialing portion of Realvolve so that we can dial out on your behalf. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the ability to dial out on your physical phone number, so we have to assign you one. So whenever you go through the process of setting up your SMS, it will ask you, hey, what country are you in? We offer it in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and for the most part, those three. Then once you select the country, then it also asks you which area code, and you can type in an area code and it'll give you some numbers. You pick from the numbers, and then it comes up to a screen like this, then knowing that you now have a number. So my 10 DLC, 10-digit long code is 417-719-1200. Once you have that connectivity for SMS, because of this A2P rule that has come about this last couple months, is you have to be approved and go through it for sending out SMS to people within Realvolve, but you can still dial. So over here under the dial section in the settings, we do have the ability to do a few different things, and I want to make sure that you understand what these things are. So
Real
the first
quick, also, Mark, if you're looking on your left-hand side and your account does not show dialer, it likely has to do with your authorization to use the dialer. So you may need to reach out to support at realvolve.com to get that enabled, or to see why you don't. It also could be because you're a sub-user and your main account holder hasn't given you permission to use it. But either way, reach out to support and we can get that addressed for you if you don't see that in your settings.
Absolutely. That's a good point there. Thank you, Kendra. So once you select dialer, once you have that on there and you select it, there will be an option to turn it on or off. Once you turn it on, then you see this screen. Now, there's a couple things that that you can do. First off, from your main account, under the My Account section, there you have places to put phone numbers, and the phone numbers that you use in your My Account section will be displayed here as caller ID numbers. So my main cell phone number, 417-298-1173, is what I typically use. But if I wanted to use an office phone number or whatever, I can certainly do that. One of the things that is kind of important to do, though, is you want it to be a direct line number of some sort so that it comes straight to you. You don't have to press 1 to get here, 2 to get there, whatever, because there's some automation that's going to happen. And we'll kind of get through that. The next thing is the wait for connection. So what this is this is a time amount in seconds, basically, for whenever we dial this number and we make a connection. It's actually accumulating time, and you want to make sure that you don't waste time and you make a phone call and then you don't disconnect yourself. I think it defaults to 30. I changed it to 60. But what it does is it says, okay, if I've made a connection and I've dialed and I'm doing stuff, and then maybe I get distracted or whatever, after 60 seconds, it's going to automatically disconnect my connection, my phone connection, so that as I'm dialing multiple numbers, I would have to reconnect again. And we're going to go over that. That may not make as much sense right now, but just know that there is a timing option there that allows you to see what happens after a certain amount of time. There is a call recording option. So whenever you go to use the system, you can record your calls. I do encourage you to check your rules and restrictions in your state because of permissions that are out there. In Missouri, it's one caller consent, basically meaning only need one party consent, versus some states are two-party consent, meaning both parties have to agree to being recorded. In that case, you want to deal with that. And then there's a call log. So as we do things, it's logged in here, and we'll kind of go over that.
Mark, can I stop you real quick? Okay, so
Yeah.
Cheryl's actually at the step before this. So there's a couple things, right? One, I talked a little bit about if you don't see the dialer on the left, it's because your account has not been enabled. Now, Cheryl's asking, is the dialer included? It depends on your plan. But if you have the dialer button on the left and it says activate, then that means that right now it is included with your plan and you essentially have to opt in. So Cheryl, if you hit activate, then I would assume that it will tell you at the top that you have 500 minutes included with your plan. But again, it depends on what plan that you're in. But it sounds like that you're in a plan that would include that. So if you hit activate, it's not charging you or anything else. You are just saying, yes, I'm going to use the dialer, and you'll see the things that Mark's doing right now.
Correct. All right. So kind of getting the preliminaries out of the way. There's just some setup. Once this is set up, you really don't have to do anything else in the setup side. It's just there and available for you. So let's go back into the dashboard area. And let me got two phones here and I'm trying to do this. Okay, so over here on the right hand side, actually, I'm going to go ahead and go into my contacts. And what I did was I made a list of people that I want to call, and I just tagged them just so that they're in the list. Okay, so maybe I wanted to tag 10 people today. I tag them that I need to call them, and they're in the list, so I can see them in the list or whatever from here. Now, from this menu or from this area or from within the individual contact, there's a phone number. Okay, so if I wanted to dial this phone number right now, I can come over and just click on it and say call now. Now, what this does, and let me make sure my phone is active. Over here on the right-hand side, I have QuickTime showing what my screen is on my phone. So I don't have to show it on the camera. You're actually seeing what's on my screen. So as I do stuff on my phone, you can see it right there. This is my wife, Kathy, and her phone number. Please don't abuse that. What this is going to do is it's going to pop up. I said, I want to start making some calls. So it came into the call section. And one thing that I want you guys to realize that this little pop-up kind of stays popped up no matter what person you're on. Actually, I thought it switched between them. Okay. It does stay, even though maybe it's closed, it does stay connected here. But let's say I'm going to call these people. I want to call Kathy first, just so that this shows kind of the right way. I click on call now. It comes up. The first thing that we want to do is we want to make a connection of Realvolve with your physical phone. And to do that, we just say connect dialer. So I click on connect dialer, and you'll see over here on the right-hand side, it's calling me, and I'm going to accept. So now my phone is physically connected with Realvolve. Okay. Now I can start going through and dialing these different people. So I'm going to say dial contact. So I'm going to dial Kathy, and I've also got Kathy's phone here. And
we talked to Kathy.
Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, it's dialing now, and I'm just going to go ahead and say answer.
Now, Mark, that came through with your phone number because in your dialer settings, you selected that you wanted it to show there. So when you call somebody, it shows as if you were calling them from your personal number.
Yeah. So you can see right here that it's saying Mark Stepp. It looks like you, it smells like you, all that kind of stuff. It's just that Realvolve does the connection, and then it goes through and it connects your physical phone to their physical phone, and is now doing some recording. So you can see here's a countdown timer of how long the call's taken so far. We have some options, and I'm hearing myself on my phone and her phone at the same time. I can come in here and say, based off of this, the connection of this, it knows already that we did make a connection, so made contact. There are other options. It's a bad number, it's busy, no answer. You can change that if you want while you're in the middle of this. The topic, if you're during, in the call, you want to take some notes, you can, take some notes while you're talking to Kathy, do your stuff, whatever you want to do as far as the topic, but you're making conversation, you're doing the things that you want to do, and then you're done. Okay. At that point, and you're talking on your phone, she's listening on hers. At that point, I can click on end call. Now, what that does is that disconnects Kathy's phone, but you'll see I'm still connected over here with Realvolve Dialer. I'm still connected. So I can very easily
save your note.
Oh, yeah. Save note. So I can very easily go to Mary Jones, and I'm gonna make sure that gets changed, because that should change with the contact. Now I can come over here. I'm still connected to Realvolve's dialer, but now I can call Mary. Okay, and I can do the exact same thing and dial and leave messages and do whatever I want. Once I'm done, now if I leave this up for more than 60 seconds, because that was my setting in the settings area, if I leave it up for more than 60 seconds, it will auto disconnect. It's assuming you don't want to be wasting a lot of time of your available calls, because that time, so there, it just, after 60 seconds, it disconnected me. At this point now, I would have to reconnect to make the next call. But if I was still connected, I can just go to the next person and dial, go to the next person and dial. And then each time you go through, here's the actual call that we made to Kathy. You'll see that who did we call? Kathy. The topic of it, made contact. It was 1 minute and 38 seconds. And then here's the recording. So, you know, you can listen to the entire thing. There are some options for downloading it and stuff. Now, if you needed to be able to get additional content later, you can come back, play it, and do all the other stuff. We did have, and I'm not sure that it won't actually do it. Maybe not. We did have a transcription option on here. I think we removed it for some reason. Maybe it was because of the recording for two-party consent. But basically, what this does is this gives you a full recording of everything that was said during those phone calls. So, does that make sense? Is that any questions on that?
Are you guys currently using the dialer? I know Cheryl's not. Bobby, are you guys using it?
You know what? Not yet, but I think I'm going to travel with Jody in her car, and we're going to do it together to show her how she can do it while she's en route.
Gotcha. What about you, Nicole?
This was great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Not yet, but I'm wanting to teach Corey how to do that this week. So this is perfect. This was one of the things on our list.
I love this for teams. I love this for training. You know, there is nothing more powerful than having examples of what other agents are doing to train other agents. You know, and just to go back and have a reference of that conversation is also powerful with a client. Because you can take notes all day, but I can't read my handwriting half the time. So this is super cool.
So that's the dialer, and it's fairly straightforward. It's just a matter of realizing that we're using your physical phone as the piece that makes the connection to the other person, but we're connecting you from Realvolve to your phone. We're then connecting Realvolve to their phone, and then we make the connection between the two phones for you. Mm-hmm. At the same time we're doing that, we're also recording that so that we can have a recording of that message. And again, if you're in a two-party state, you know, it is probably important to say, you know, you're on a recorded line. You know, let them know if you don't want to be recorded. You know, let me know. So, not that we can do anything other than hang up, but it does automatically record, and then if at some point they disapprove or whatever, you can just delete the entry, make a copy of this, and then delete it. All right.
Anything else on the dialer, Mark?
That's it, unless you have other questions.
I don't. I think I'm going to take over and go over the next one.
Okay.
If that is all right with you.
Go for it.
Let me share my screen. All right. So the next question that we had on here was newsletter best practices. again, depending on your what account that you have, you may have the newsletter included. If you do not, you can reach out to support about getting that added. It is $9.99 a month, or it is $99 a year, or it may be included free depending on what tier of the program that you have. So right now, if you're getting those emails monthly, then that indicates that you have that. Now, that code in itself, you have to do other things to enable it. So if I got an email saying, hey, here's October's code, the first thing that I'm going to do is take that code and I'm going to come into my workflows. I need to find the newsletter. And so I'm going to click on this add, and I'm going to go add workflows from library. And then I need to find it. In this case, I always use Command F because I'm on a Mac, but you could probably use, what is it, Control F on a PC. Yep. And then I'm going to type in October because I don't have the patience to look through all of these. So I'm going to hit through enter, and I'm going to look for this Realvolve newsletter subscription. Okay. So as you can see, several months in the past are here. If you want to download those or if you need reference to them. But in this case, I want October. Okay, so I find what I want. I'm going to take the code that is inside of my email. I'm going to click on this drop down, click install package, and I'm going to paste that code here. When I hit that, when I hit install, it is going to download the newsletter into my account. The newsletter is downloaded as a template. Okay. And so once I've done that, I can come in, I can access my newsletter. And so my newsletter will then live under templates. And again, I'm going to use that keyword of October. I'm going to search in the top left-hand corner and hit enter. When I do that, I have one from 2021. This is the one from 2023. So here I can edit it. I'm not going to send it from back here. Remember, when you're working in the front end or doing things, your dashboard and your calendar, how you're going to do things, how you're going to send your newsletter, how you're going to access your contacts, things like that. When you're in this red bar under workflows and templates, this is how you're going to access the back end. This is how you're going to make permanent changes to your workflows and your templates. Again, your newsletter lives in your template. So this is where I'm going to go to edit it or change it. Now, this newsletter is well written. It's basically done for you, but there's a few things that you're going to want to do every month or best practices. The subject is here. We do utilize merge fields inside of our newsletters. And so important that you know what those merge fields are. And so workflow contact is the person that is receiving the newsletter. And so, this would say, are you ready for fall, Bob? So when you see workflow contact first name, it's the person that you are sending it to. Okay. Anytime you see current user, it is your information. But it's important to know where it pulls your information from. Current user is always pulling from the back end of your settings. Okay. And so let's pay attention to what this is saying. This says current user logo. So I'm saying my settings logo. Okay. So where does the majority of this information live? It lives in your setting. And it lives under my account. Okay. The majority of current user merge fields live in settings and my account. So here's user logo. Okay. So it's going to pull in whatever's in here. If I have nothing in here, the system will pull nothing. So either be aware of that or make sure that that's your intent, or put something there, change the merge field, whatever. Just be aware of what your merge fields are pulling. So this is saying, hey, input my merge field. Now, down here, we've got workflow contact first name. So again, that's the first name of the person I'm sending it to. Now, then when you come down to the bottom and it says, here's your little excerpt. My computer came unplugged just a second. It says current user first name. So again, where is that pulling from? Current user, again, your settings, your first name. So it's going to pull in whatever is here. So as you go through, you've got, in this case, recipes for this month. A lot of this is built so that you don't have to change it or do anything to it. The next thing that you need to do other than proofread is pay attention to this just listed, just sold. Now, these are templates, okay? So I'm going to pull up my active listings or my just solds, and I'm going to pull the last two or whichever ones I want to highlight, and I'm going to update these, okay? So in this case, I can just click here And I can update this. I can type in whatever I want. To change this image, I'm going to click on it. If I double click on it, it pops open a box. Notice what the default width is, 264. A lot of times if I come over here to upload and I pull in one of my images, the images, especially high quality images, they're going to come in high, sometimes over 1,000, whatever. That would completely distort your template. And so if this said 1,000, let's just see what this does. And I'm like, whoa, I messed everything up. Right? So I just completely messed up my thing. Okay. So if your image comes in, it's important for you to come in and say, yeah, the template was pulling in at 264. I'm going to keep it at 264. And so then you can see here. Okay. So I have the same ability to click here and I can adjust or, make sure that it's sitting the way that I want it to sit. And that it's exactly how I want it to be. Once I've done that, I'm going to do that for just listed, just sold. And again, I just change those images by double clicking on them, upload them, and then adjust the proportions. I've got just listed, just sold. The next thing that I'm going to want to adjust is my social media links. Okay. So, we've got Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Well, maybe I decided I don't use YouTube, okay? If I delete one of these out, the system's gonna readjust itself, but I'm gonna need to link into whatever I'm going to promote here. And so inside of my contact record, you may have this stored in an email or somewhere else, but I would also encourage you to pay attention, or you can store that information inside the contact record for the agent. So let's say that I'm making this is my newsletter. And so I want to put my social media links in here. I can access my contact record, come over to contact, scroll down to social links, and I can actually store my Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, any of my links here. So I could easily just copy this, come back over here. Once I have my link, I'm going to click on it once. Tell it highlight, come in here and click on link. I'm going to paste in the URL. By default, the URL is the main page of Facebook. So if you send this newsletter out without updating this URL, it is going to throw anyone that clicks on it to the main page of Facebook. So your Facebook URL is probably / something, whatever your page name is. And so it's important that you come in here and you paste in whatever it is that you're going to drive them to your specific account. So you're going to do that for any of your social media links. And then you're going to pay attention to this footer at the bottom. Again, we've got current user, and current users should be thinking my account settings. So first name, last name, company, email address, cell phone, and website. All of them are pulling from this settings under my account. So we've got website, company, any of these things can be pulled in or adjusted. Now, if you didn't want to use one of these, you can just highlight this merge field and delete it out. Any of this is customizable. To that point, if you wanted to add in something else, you can click here and you can have access to the list of all of your current user merge fields, and you could add in anything else you want. This current user photo is going to pull in whatever is here, your profile picture. Once you're done with that, you're going to hit save. I would also encourage you, especially if you're not, and I do this and I'm very proficient in the program, I would save your progress along the way. Okay. If you're messing around with this just sold, you like the way it looks, take a periodic save. Okay. Because once you save it, you're like, okay, I'm happy with it. It just reduces the chance of you doing something, messing it up, and losing a lot of progress. And so until you're super comfortable, I would highly suggest periodic saves. Now, I went through here. I've updated this. Any questions on editing the back end of this before we show how to send it out or best practices on that?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So if I completely remove a section, like right now, if I don't have any listings, for example, I just double click it and it goes away and then it resizes itself. It's not a great big white space.
Well, now these are built-in sections, okay? And so if I do not want this section, I can click into the section. Do you see how these dotted boxes are inside other dotted boxes?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to get rid of this whole section, okay? So I can click in here and right click. When I do that, and I right click, it gives me access to this table's properties, okay? And so if I know I don't want an entire section, I can delete the section. Do you see how it's gone?
Yes.
Okay, this is what I was talking about, especially if you're going to do this stuff about periodic, saves. And so if I don't want the next section, I keep doing the same thing. I don't want this just listed. I get rid of it. See, I got rid of the photo, but now I still may have a section that I need to get rid of. And so again, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete out the additional tables that I don't want or those extra spaces.
Great. Thank you.
Anything you want to add on that, Mark?
Control Z or Command Z is an undo. And if you want to undo something that you just did, you messed it up, you can just hit Control Z or Command Z.
Yeah.
Everything is rows and tables and columns. So you can delete entire tables, you can delete entire rows, columns, or whatever. So it's just a matter of getting used to HTML editing. And this is universal type of editing. It's not just Realvolve. It's HTML, how you edit websites and things like that. It's a very formatted layout, and you can go in there and make those changes as needed.
Yeah. So the save button and Command or Control Z are going to be your best friends if you're like I am, because I use those all the time because I get click happy sometimes. So, okay, perfect. Any other questions? Now, each one of these, I will say, throughout these articles, they are typically linking to other things. In this case, like this is a highlight to a butternut or roasted butternut squash recipe. Okay, I know that because it's highlighted, it's underlined. Now, if I didn't like the recipe or the link that they're using, I can double click on this and I can see exactly where it's driving that traffic. So if my person that I send this newsletter to clicks on this, this is where they're going to go to. So in the event I have a better recipe or I change the content, you do need to be careful of the link content in here as well. You would want to update it, but most of the time you're fine to just leave it as it is. All right, so I've edited my newsletter. I like the way it looks. I'm ready to send it out. I'm going to come into my dashboard, and the first thing I need to do is get a list of the people that I'm going to send this to. I could come in here manually and just select whoever I want to send the newsletter to this month. But more than likely, and typically best practices is to have a tag of anybody that, every month this person is going to get my newsletter. And so inside of Joe Byer's contact record under the radar tab, Joe Byer has probably already been given this tag of newsletter. And so if he didn't have it, I'm just typing in newsletter and I'm making sure whatever contacts that I want to have the tag of newsletter have it. I can also come into all of my contacts if I wanted everybody in here, and I could select everyone, or I could select a certain amount of people. Maybe everybody but Sally is going to get this newsletter. And so I could come up here to this hamburger icon and I can add tags and masks. And so I could come in here and say, okay, everybody that I've selected is going to get this newsletter. Careful with misspellings. Tag. And once they've done that, you're going to hit tag them now. It's going to go in anybody that you've checked, and it's going to give them the tag of newsletter. After you've done that, and you're ready to send it out, what you'll need to do is access anybody with the tag of newsletter. And so to do that, I'm going to click on my icons. I need to filter to pull out the people that have that tag. So I'm going to click create new filter. I'm going to click on tag. I need to find anyone with newsletter. I'm going to hit next. Now, when I did that, it narrowed it down to 143. When I click on this chevron, it's going to click it over and show me everybody with that tag. I'm going to click at the top here to select all. It says you've selected all 143. And then I can click email. Once I've done that, I need to find my newsletter. So I'm going to search my templates because, again, newsletter lives as a template. And so I can type in newsletter, but again, I need to remember my keywords, and my keywords that I use are the month. And so I want October 2023. And so here it is. Once it's ready, it's going to say to 143 contacts. When I hit show preview, and it says hide preview, I can scroll down and I can get an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay. So it says, you know, it pulls in those merge fields. I can come down here and make sure that if I want to make sure that all of my, my social media looks the way that it wants, and that this pulled correctly. So as you can see here, remember our template showed like 5 or 6 different merge fields. I know specifically one of them was website. Website's not here. And that's because probably in my settings, I don't have anything in my website field. So this is how the system treats it. It will still populate it. It will format it. Okay. So you still have the ability to send it. It just, if it doesn't have the information, it can't include it. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make sure that this is the way that I want it to be. And I'm going to hit send. Once I've done that, it is going to send individually emails to those 143 people. So it won't be a CC situation. It's not going to send one and CC other people. Those people won't know that everybody received it. And then it will log a copy or a record of that sent email on each individual person's account. Any questions on the newsletter?
No, I'm good.
On that filter that you've got there, it's, you know, super simple just to give it a name so that the next month you don't have to go through and do the same filter search and setup. You just pull it up as a saved search, saved filter.
Yeah, and how I do that is I'm going to get the criteria that I want. In this case, the only criteria is that that person needs to have a tag of newsletter. And so that says that right here. And so to save it, I'm going to come down here to the bottom and I'm going to say I'm going to say newsletter. And when I hit apply, I'm essentially creating a saved filter. So next time when I come in here, under filters and I go to my drop downs, instead of by default, I'm only going to see all contacts and create new filter. But as I start creating those things and hitting apply, each time I create one, it's going to save it down here. And so that's what Mark's saying about quickly accessing things that I have saved in the past. Now, let's say that my May birthdays or my 1RV10 filter is no longer applicable. I'm just going to delete that saved filter and I don't see it again. One thing I'm going to sidebar just for a second, because it brought up a good point. We have 2 tags in here that aren't, you know, obviously somebody spelled sometimes, this is a demo account, newsletter wrong. And so one thing I can do to fix that is, I don't know why my system's grayed out right now. Just a second.
I have a question on filters for you guys too when we're done here.
Yeah, sure. And we're going to, after this, we're going to open up Q&A because that's the whole point of these QA calls, is to make sure you guys have time to add what you need. Okay. So inside of my tags, if I notice that I have tag errors, I need to do tag maintenance. This right here where it says 64, this icon is tags. And so I can access all of my tags here. In this case, I saw an issue with newsletter. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to find my newsletter. I don't want to delete this tag. I really just want to turn this tag into this tag. And so if I click edit here, I'm going to say, okay, this is the old tag. Now, what do I want it to be? And I'm going to make it match exactly this other one. So when I hit save, it's going to kick all that other, the old tag that's spelled incorrectly over to the new tag. And Nicole, I think you were the one with the question. What's your question on tags?
Yeah, so filtering. So when I filter either by tag or whatever, and then I get, like, you had 143 people, you'd gone down to that. Can you then filter them again?
Have multiple criteria?
Yeah, something different. Like if you want everybody in my top 400, but I don't want anyone out of state, and they have tags for out of state and top 400. Like, can you do a yes, this, but none of these people?
We don't. Okay. At this time. It's something that has been a big request, and it is on my list to have our engineers work on that. There's more of a, there is some workaround on there where you can select your entire list of whatever it is and tag those names with something, then go in and do a filter of what you don't want, and then remove that tag from any of those people. So it gets around it.
Right,
but
but
it
then
is-
they're not tagged for later if you still want to use. So then you've got 3 or 4 or 5 tags for
Yeah,
all those people.
it's a kind of a fiasco to do that. So
Okay.
we do
That's
have that
okay.
on the list to get added.
Okay.
Yeah, and what Nicole's talking about is basically where you want to say, okay, I want all of this tag, but people that, you know, don't have this, and you're kind of trying to use this multiple, because right now they have to be within the same bucket, right? So you could say, I want anybody with people that have all of RV10 and 2000, whatever, you know, that. So basically for this person to filter down, they would need to be both of this criteria. Where it gets a little bit tricky, and what we're talking about is where you want to say, if the person has this but not this tag, and you're trying to use multiple layers of exclusion and inclusionary tags, you can also layer other tags on top of each other. So somebody has to have any of one RV10, and they also have to include a record type of person or whatever, right? So if you're trying to use multiple criteria of different types of tabs, you can actually absolutely do that. But yeah, Nicole, it gets a little bit tricky. So if you have a situation that you're kind of needing help with, or you can't figure out how to do it, email me, and I'm happy to kind of help you create a workaround so you guys get what you need in the meantime.
Well, what Mark just said, I mean, makes perfect sense. I was just wondering if, like you just said, you know, people have asked for that. So maybe at some point in the future.
Yep, for sure. It's definitely on a future request list. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, we've got about 15 minutes or left. Who's got questions? We'll kind of open the floor to any questions. Doesn't have to be specifically on anything we talked to today, but just kind of making sure you guys have what you need, and using this time to kind of deep dive into anything you have questions on.
I have a question. Yesterday, I opened my app on my phone to pull up a contact's phone number.
Yep.
And their name didn't come up. So I came back and I looked at my desktop. Their name is in there, but it definitely did not come up yesterday.
Okay.
What's the problem?
Still
So
not in there now?
I'm sorry.
let me share my screen real quick.
Yep. There you go.
There we go, and share. Okay, so one of the things that and it's available in contacts, properties, and transactions, because you are on a mobile device. The way it's set up is, and I'm going to have to trying to click on it, and I can't click on it. I have to touch my phone. You get the entire list of whatever. If you take your finger and you kind of like press right here and drag down, what it does is it'll go into a refresh mode, and then it will refresh. It'll go out to the main database, grab everything, make sure that it's new, and then import it. Because it's a mobile app, we're using the Realvolve's API to grab data. We're not physically looking and reloading it each time. So we've got some users that have 40, 50,000 names, and it takes a little bit of time to get all those names. And so what we do is we keep a local copy of the names on that mobile device, and as you add names and stuff, it refreshes it. But if it hasn't been refreshed in a while, you can just click on it, kind of drag down, and then it'll go through and refresh.
Thank you. Good to know.
Same type of thing for properties. You go in there, drag down, and then it refreshes the properties as well.
Okay.
Yeah, try that, Cheryl. That should work. The only other thing that brought to mind is maybe you had a filter on, but that still should show up in the search, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I see the name now, because but Yeah, it was just frustrating. I'm like, where is this phone number?
Yeah, I know I have it.
You know, the thing about Realvolve is, you know, you have the ability to run it disconnected, and you know, you might be in a remote area, you still need access to information, so you can do that. So it's using the local copy, and if that local copy is a little bit out of sync, just drag and it'll refresh it.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Anyone else have questions they want to go over?
Digging through my notes to make sure I got answers to everything.
All right. Well,
One quick question. Last week, I got on with you guys, and then somebody in the office needed car help, and I walked out to help them and never got back. Are you guys going to post last week's? It's not up yet on YouTube.
that's on me. I
just
got
was so
disconnected.
excited, and then I was sad because
I got disconnected, and I totally forgot to download it once I got reconnected. We had some electrical brownouts going on here, so I will get that uploaded and upload today's as well. And again, what you can do is go out to realvolve.com/office hours, and in there it'll have it. This was week before last, so you can then click on the little. I'm not sharing my screen, am I?
No, I was getting ready to ask.
And thank you guys for the Pi Day information. I've now made workflows for 4 more events from that, and it was so nice to have a template to use and create and design it and build it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of best practices in there, so I love that you did that.
Yeah. Go out to realvolve.com/office hours, and it'll show the most recent one, which I did not upload last week's. But in this upper right corner is of the video itself. There is the playlist, and you can pick and choose from any of the 100 and however many. No, there's 63 in here of
I love
just
them
the
and I
office.
go back through them, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, and then there's a link in there too, just to join in case you don't
down
have that.
here, right here, you can actually click on here to join if you need to join.
Yeah, and these Q&As like this, we do once a month, so we'll do another one next month. So as you have questions, you know, of course, we try to open up the last part of any of these office hours for any of your questions, and we're here every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern. So we love that you guys join us and are committed to learning the program. So super happy that you guys are here week after week. All right, well, that's all I have. If anyone doesn't have any other questions, we will see you guys next week.
Do we know what the topic is next week?
The topic next week, you put me on the spot. Yeah, I do know. Hold on a second. Next week, we are talking about building and maintaining a strong referral network. And then after that, we're going to be talking about social media, best practices, leveraging social media for real estate success.
Thanks so much. Sounds great.
All right, guys. We'll see you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. See ya.